Hi, welcome to my Facebook Live. My name is Michelle Jutrissa and I'm independent demonstrator in New South Wales, Australia. I'm so glad you could join us today. We've had some wild and woolly weather here happening in New South Wales this week. Some of us haven't quite floated away as yet, which is good. Let's get started. So I'm going to make a card today and we're going to be using a couple of products. And let me just flip my camera down so you can actually see what we've got here. I won't be one moment. Okay, so we're going to make a card today using the Honeybee Home stamp set, and along with that I'll be using some of the designer series paper from the Heart and Home as well. So these are a coordinating part of a coordinating bundle. You can also purchase with this as well the Blessings of Home stamp set. So you'll find this in our mini catalogue, and you can purchase these from my shop on michellejutrissa.stampinup.net, and you'll see that at the bottom of your screen. So I've used this one before, but I've never used this particular stamp set, and I have used some of the dies from this. So today I thought we'd make a card using this. Excuse me. So let me just pop that away because we don't need that one. And I've already pre-cut everything. So we're going to use this particular floral stamp here. I'm still questioning whether I'll use one of the bees. And I'm going to use the sentiment, "So glad you wear family," because I do have a sister who lives overseas, and I just thought this might be a nice card to send off to her. Also within this bundle, when you purchase this bundle, you can also get the Heart and Home Doilies, which are these ones here, and we will be using one of the Misty Moonlight Doilies. It comes as 3 colours in that. There's a Cinnamon Cider, the Misty Moonlight, and I do have, so there's your Cinnamon Cider and your basic grey. So I was tossing up between the basic grey and the Misty Moonlight, but I've decided at the last minute to go with our Misty Moonlight, so we'll be using that as well. The other thing that comes with this suite is the classic matte dots. And these come in black, basic grey, very vanilla, and the basic white. So we will be using those as well, and I'm still haven't decided as yet whether we will colour some of these using our Stampin' Blends. So we are going to be colouring in our flowers, and as per normal I've got a collection of blends here. Let me just bring them all out so I can show you what I have got. So whether we use all these or not is another thing, but I thought the flowers on that stamp, I'm going to be using the dark Fresh Freesia plus the light Fresh Freesia, and I thought we'd have a little bit of the dark Highland Heather in that, just to add a little bit more depth in colour. The greens, I thought I'd use the Mint Macaron in both light and dark, and I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight using the dark Just Jade with that as well. The centre of my flowers, I've got I think I've got Saffron here, both in light and dark, because I just want a little bit of extra colour in there, but not a huge amount. And I also have, oh, that's the wrong one. Let me just grab this one, which is the one I was wanting. Sorry about that. That one there's discontinued. The dark Daffodil Delight. Now I will use this one if I want to add a little bit extra highlight into the center of those flowers, but also for the bee, if I go ahead and do the bee. And then the other colors I thought for the bee, I've got here the light Seaside Spray. I've got the basic grey, no, dark smoky slate, sorry. So I've got dark and light smoky slate, and I have also got the light in the basic black as well. So that's just in case I decide to go ahead with the bee along with the Daffodil Delight as well. The other thing that I've got here is a little piece of the Crinkle Ribbon. Again, it's another piece that I'm just not quite sure yet whether I'm going to use it or not, but I just thought I'll have that on the side just in case. So I'll pop that there. Let me move all those out of the road. And we can pop that out of the road. Now, the only other thing I have decided to use, Quiet Meadow. I was playing around with this set yesterday, and one of the dies in there is a really lovely fern piece. So I've got that here handy. So I'm going to use this just to cut out a piece of nice leaf to go behind our flowers. I just found these are the dies that come with this suite here, but I wanted something that was a bit more leaf-like. These are sort of more towards flowers, so I wanted something to go behind this flower here. Sorry, not that flower. I wanted something to go behind this one here, and so I've decided to use this particular leaf, and I'm going to cut that out in a piece of vellum. Just remember too, if you're visiting for the first time today, please jump on and say hello so I know who is here. Hi Anita, thank you for joining us. Yeah, so I thought I'd use that. So that is actually from the Quiet Meadow bundle. So I'm popping that to one side. So we're going to do a little bit of die cutting with that. And of course we're going to die cut out this floral piece here as well. So let me show you all the measurements and everything that we'll be using. So I've already got my stamps already blocked up. The sentiment I've got ready to go. And the bee, just in case I decide to go ahead with that bee. So here are all the pieces that I've cut. And I'm going to use a card base, which is your Misty Moonlight. And that piece is 10.5 by 29.9. And I've scored that at 14.9. So I've already folded that in half, and that's giving me a 10th fold card. There's no reason why you couldn't make this card using the book fold, and in that case you would actually cut it at 21 by 14.9 and score it at 10 and a half. Yes, score it at 10 and a half. So but I just like my 10 fold cards. So that's the card base I've got there. I'm then going to put a little bit of a mat using your fresh freesia, and that is 10 by 14.4 centimeters. In the designer series paper, I've decided to put a layer using this beautiful wood grain. Just gives you a little bit of extra texture to your cardstock. And this one here is just an all over wood grain. It's the reverse side of that one, and we are going to be using a piece of this as well. But this piece here measures 9.7 by 14.1. And then, as I said, we are going to be using a little strip of this designer series paper. So as I said, that is the reverse side of that one. And that is 3.5 by 14.4. We need that little piece of vellum to die cut that leaf, and that's 10.5 by 7.5. I've got a little piece here for my sentiment, which is 3 centimeters by 7.5. Now, of course, these pieces here, you could just use any scraps that you've got. I'm going to stamp my flower and possibly my bee on this piece, which is 14.9 by 5 centimeters. So basically, I've when I cut my basic white, I cut it up into quarters. So it's a quarter of a sheet, and then I've cut that 1/4 into half again. So really, that's about 1/8 of a sheet. So that's 14.9 by 5. Then for the inside of my card, now I've just realized I've got a mark on there, so we may have to flip this over and use the other side. But it's 10 by 14.4. So that's to go. And this is the insert for our card. And then I've got 2 little pieces here, which are going to just go at the bottom of our insert in the Fresh Freesia, and that is 2 centimeters by 10, and a little piece of our designer series, which is 1.7 by 10, and they're both really just little pieces of offcuts that I just had, so you can use your scraps for something like that. So I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to start off with by stamping this piece and our sentiment. We're only using one colour in ink. Now, because we're using our blends, which is an alcohol marker, we can use any watercolour ink to stamp our images with. So I'm using my basic grey, and I'm going to just remove those pieces there. And I'm going to stamp first off my image on here. So I'm just going to ink that up, just tapping it lightly. You don't need to press lightly on your press heavily on your stamp pad. You just need to press lightly, and then we're just going to stamp down, straight down, no rocking, because we don't want any shadowing marks, and then stamp that basically back up again. I'm actually going to flip that over and redo it on the other side. I'm just not really 100% happy. I don't think I've got enough ink on some of those flowers. And that is the beauty of our paper, is if you haven't inked it up or you're not happy with your image, how you've stamped it, you can actually just flip that over and stamp again on your other side. And I'm a little bit happier there. Okay, now just in case I do decide to go with that bee, let's just stamp him up in that top section there as well. And then on this little piece, I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. Just holding that down for a few seconds, just to let that ink adhere to our cardstock. And again, I've got a little mark on there. So I'm not going to worry about that because we are going to cut that out. So that will be fine. So I'm just going to pop all those to one side, and let's start by doing some colouring in. So the colours, let me just move these over here out of our road, and I'm going to start with our lilac-y tone colours, and I always start with my lightest colour first. So this is my Fresh Freesia in the light, and I'm going to use the fine tip point because I'm just using doing small areas here. So I'm just going to colour that in, and this is just very, very quickly. I'm not being really fussy in how I'm colouring it. Just going around all those edges. Just be careful when you get to your edges, because these pens can tend to bleed a little bit. And I'm just going to colour in those, and I'm only just going to do a few at a time because you do want to work while your ink is still wet. So I'm going to come in now, and I'm going to add just a little bit of highlights in here, a little bit of shadowing even. Luckily with our images from Stamping Up, now I have come in with the Highland Heather here. I'm not going to do in the center there of my flowers, as I do want to come in there with a bit of that So Saffron. And because I'm using the darkest color, I just want to add a little bit of those. And then I'm going to start blending those colors out a little bit with the dark Fresh Freesia. And then you can come back in with your light Fresh Freesia again and just go over the whole lot, just spreading that color out. So just really flicking your pen from that dark color to the light, and that will help just to blend those colors in. Now I'm going to grab my dark in the So Saffron, and I'm going to put a little bit of colour in there. Now what this will tend to do also, and this is where your colour lifter, how it works, because a colour lifter has actually just got only alcohol in it, there's no actual colour in it, it pushes your colour outwards. So what this So Saffron is doing is actually pushing away a little bit of that fresh freesia and everything, and just adding, replacing those areas that I've added the colour with the So Saffron. So if you don't know whether you can see this, but particularly with this one here, you can see that even though I've coloured in the whole area, where I've put the So Saffron, it's actually pushed the other colour out of that area. But that's why I go over everything with the light colour afterwards, because the light colours tends to be the one that'll actually blend all the colours together. So anyway, I'm going to continue working on these flowers below. I'm just colouring in the whole area with my lightest in the fresh freesia. Now, as I said, if you are visiting us for the first time, please jump on and say hello and let me know where you're from. Unfortunately, I didn't get around last night just to let everybody know that I was going live today. So there may be some people who weren't quite sure whether I would be doing this today, but I am. Okay, let's come in with the dark in the Highland Heather. Using some of those marks that Stampin' Up have given us on the stamped image, as just as a guide to where I want to put the colour. Then I'm going to come in with the dark fresh freesia and just start adding a little bit more and blending that out a little bit. And then go over the whole lot again with your light one, just to blend it all in. Just flicking that colour out. And then again coming in with my So Saffron and just adding a little bit of yellow in there in the centres where all those stamens are. And I'm just going to add a few dots with the Daffodil Delight, just to make sure that stayed nice and bright. So now we've done those, we're going to bring in the greens. So again, starting with my light colour, I'm going to go over all these leaves. Just add colour onto all of those. Again, with this is the Just Jade, and I just really want to add just the tiniest little bit of colour. I'm going to add a little bit of the Just Jade underneath each of those flowers, a little bit on the stem. I don't want to add too much because I don't want it to overpower the mint macaron. And I'm just coming down and just adding a bit of that on those stems, just quite lightly. And I'm going to come in with my darker Just Jade and just use that just to help blend some of that darker colour out. It's more darker in the mint macaron, sorry, just to help blend some of that out. And then again, I'm going to finish off by going over that with my light. Okay, now with this bee, okay, we're going to use the Daffodil Delight. I'm just going to colour this in. As I said, I haven't figured out yet whether we're going to exactly work him as yet, use him. So I'm just going to do some Daffodil Delight there. His wings, I'm going to use the Seaside Spray. And I am just going to bring in a little bit of the light smoky slate into the base of those wings, just to give it a little bit of depth where they join the body. And again, just around his face, because I don't want his face to be too dark. And then here I have the dark smoky slate, and I've also got the basic black. And we're just going to go in here and just colour in some of these areas here. Just going to give a little bit more in there. And I've got basic black, and I want the smoky slate for his legs. Okay, so that's about all I'm going to do with him. The other thing we could do with him, this is just an afterthought, is grabbing your, let's see, my Winker Stella, and just putting a little bit of Winker Stella on his wings, just to make them, just to give them that little bit of glitter, I suppose. Okay, so we're just going to cut him out. Now I'm going to use my mini cut and emboss to do that. Now remember, at the moment these are on special. You can get your mini cut and emboss with 20% off, which is really great savings. Plus they've picked some of the dies that will also fit the mini emboss. There's a selection of those that are also on sale at the moment as well, with your 20% off in your, I think it's the whole bundle of different ones. So really worthwhile jumping on and having a look. You can go to my store at michellejutrissa.stampinup.net and you will see the promotion there and all the products there. Now I'm going to cut out that little bee at the same time. So Let me see if I've got the right die here to do that. And I'm just using this post-it note just to hold these down in place so nothing moves. There, I just may need to put this on the flat surface so I can do this and see what I'm doing. These dies hug our images really well. And this little machine is just the most fantastic little machine. And with 20% off, I think it comes out around about the $80 mark. So if you don't have one, really good to have. There are a huge number of dies now that can go through this little machine. The only thing you do have to do is just really maybe stagger your mats a little bit to get them into the hole there that takes them through the rollers to cut, because it can be a little bit tight. But this machine cuts beautifully, and really good investment, especially if you've never had one before and you just want to start off and see what it's like. So let's have a look at our images. There's our little bee. He's cut beautifully. And this post-it note, I just get that from Officeworks, so any office shop will have some sort of post-it note that you can use. And there's our flowers, and we just need to pop out those little bits there. And there's that cut out beautifully as well. Now the only other thing we need to cut out, we need our piece of vellum. So I'm going to bring my die cut machine in again, because we need to cut our vellum. Now vellum can sometimes be a little bit tricky when cutting, because it is very lightweight itself. So I'm just going to pop that onto there, put my other plate on top and run it through. Generally you should only need to run it through once. I'm just going to run this one through just twice, because there are a couple of little sections that don't really matter that much, but I have found they haven't cut overly well being vellum, because vellum is it's a lot finer than paper. So it's a lot finer than your cardstock. So let's remove those. We don't need those at the moment. There's our dies. We'll pop those over there and just pop this out. And look, that's just cut beautifully. You do just have to be a little bit careful, because this is a very lacy sort of die. And it will sort of hook onto a few bits and pieces there. And then I'm going to take my take-a-pick tool and just push out some of those little bits that haven't quite popped out yet. They're cut, but they just haven't left. Now let me just have a look, make sure. Sorry. I forgot to charge my phone up, and I'm just making sure. Hi Linda, how are you at Mount Isa? Just making sure that my phone is still okay, because I've had to take it off the charger to use it. So I was having a bit of fun this morning playing, working out this idea for this card, and lost track of time, which is what happens when you're having fun. There we go, that part cut out. These are the two little bits I find just weren't cutting out for me earlier. But there's that lovely leaf there, which is going to be, we're going to have this piece sitting on top. Okay, so let's start putting, they're all the components of our card. The only other piece we've got is this one here, and we're just going to go around and cut this out. We're just going to cut this out by fussy cutting it. It's up to you where you want to start. I'm going to start here at the top of my sew, And all I'm just going to do is just go around. It's up to you how close to your wording you want to go. But we're just going to fussy cut around all these words in our sentiment. And that little mark that I made when stamping, it's just going to completely disappear. It's the beauty of fussy cutting. If you have little marks like that that you don't want, that weren't meant to be there, you can just cut them right out. So how are you all? Very hot and dry, not like the rest of Queensland. No. Yeah, the poor Brisbane and so forth in Queensland are having a really rough trot. We've been having some of the rain down here in the southern part of, well, I don't know whether we'd call us, we're the southern highlands of New South Wales, but we're only an hour outside of Sydney. So, and we're not very far from Wollongong and Nowra, so we get a lot of the rain and the storms from down that way. So we've sort of had constant rain over the last few days, and our area has been in alert, and a lot of people have been getting sandbags ready just in case. But I think they've sort of downgraded the storm for us here a little bit. Haven't had as much rain today, though it is pretty soggy outside underfoot. Yesterday we had a visitor. We had a little frog came and jumped in my cat's water bowl outside. So he was having a lovely time swimming in the water bowl. But definitely haven't had it as bad here as northern New South Wales and the lower part of Queensland. But yeah, it's been fun. It's Australia weather. It's either fires or floods. So but I feel for the people up around Lismore and Woodburn, because as a kid I grew up for 4 years in Woodburn, so the house I lived in was possibly underwater. But said to my parents the other day, aren't we glad we don't live there anymore? So yeah, no, really feeling for the people up north and what they're going through. It's not fun. Okay, so let's just bring in the rest of our card. So I'm going to get to those parts in a minute. So let's put these parts of our card together, our front of our card. So what I'm going to do is adhere these two together. So I've got my multi-purpose glue for this. I really do love this glue. You don't want to take it too close to the edge when you're putting this on, because you do want it to spread out. And what you want to do is the glue to spread to the edges but not go past your edges. So I usually keep it around about a centimetre away from my edges of my cardstock, but the glue's good because it allows you time to slip your piece in place. So I can move this about a little bit until I've got everything where I want it to go, which is just about there. And then I can just give that a really good rub on the back just to make sure that glue has spread around. Hi Glenda, thanks for joining us today. So I've got Anita on YouTube and Linda and Glenda on Facebook. That's wonderful. Okay, so once we've done that, I've got this little strip here, which I thought I'd put that down. Now this strip I've cut the same length as my mat. So I'm going to just pop that down there. Just pop some glue on the back of that, because I just wanted a little bit of, bringing that little bit of the misty moonlight colour into this card. I'm just going to move it into the position. So it's probably put it about a centimetre from the edge of my mat. So that's there, just like that. And then we're going to pop our doily piece on there. Now, the one question I did have is I've got my ribbon here. Now, how I'm going to place this. So my initial idea was that's going to go on there just like that. And we'll adhere that down with some glue dots. That's going to sit over the top. Our sentiment is going to go there on some dimensionals. Now, do I do that across, or do I just do a bow on there, or do I go across and the bow? I think I'd like to have a bow on there. Okay, let's glue our doily down. So we've sort of got an idea. So what do you think? Should I put the ribbon on and have a bow, no ribbon, or just a bow? Let me know what you think. Linda, you think the bow? Glenda, Anita, what's your thoughts on this? So there's that piece there. Now I'm going to use some glue dots here. And I take a pick tool. And I'm just going to add some glue dots just on the back of this here. Now I'm going to put a piece, whoops, down the bottom there, and glue dot there. And then just a couple of glue dots because I like to have a little bit of dimension with my leaves. So I'm just popping a couple. I'm only really going up through the center. So I've got one, just a glue dot there, a glue dot there. I'm going to pop one more. And it's probably going to go, I might roll it up actually. Don't like to touch my glue dots because I don't want to get any oils from my fingers on it. So I've just folded it in half there, and I'm going to pop it right there in that center because all that area there should get covered by my other flowers. So that's going to go, I might just move him across just a little bit more. I have ripped my doily there a little bit. That's okay because you're not going to notice it. Just there like that. And then that's going to come over the top. So it's lining everything up, center of that blue strip there. And again, I'm going to use some glue dots on the back of this piece here. So you've got plenty of areas here to place your glue dots. You could use dimensionals, the mini dimensionals if you wanted to, but I don't really want to, just for the fact, whoops, my glue dot's stuck to my, take a pick tool. Actually, I might remove that one and just grab another one because that's really just sort of mucked up a little bit. Yes, saying I don't really want to put dimensionals on there because I want to put dimensionals on the sentiment, and I want the ribbon to maybe go over the top of this. I didn't want too much height in it. I'll just pop one more in there. You want to make sure these things are secure. Okay, so what have we got? Glenda says a bow. Linda says a bow. Is doily from a pack or is it a die? It's from a pack. Let me grab that for you. This is the pack that comes with the what's the Blessings of Home. Let me find it for you in the mini catalogue. Was it part of this one, or was it part of the other one that's carried over? I can never remember. No, it's in this one, it's towards the back here somewhere. There it is. It's part of the Heart and Home suite. So it's a pack of doilies. It's the Heart and Home doilies. They're $8.75 here in Australia, and you've got 3 colours in it. So you've got your basic grey, your cinnamon cider, and your misty moonlight. So no, they're not cut with a die. And that's them there. And you get a pack. And in the pack is, there's quite a few in there. There's 30 doilies in it. And of course, what you can also do is you can turn them over and use the white side. You don't have to use the coloured sides. And you could colour these up with just using your blending brushes. I've got a blending brush here with Pacific Point in it, but it'd be quite easy just to go around the edges with your blending brush. Oops. And colour them up and get different colours as well. So, yeah, no, they're great to have. All pre-cut, ready to go for you. Whoops, I have lost. Here we go. Let me just check my phone. Won't be a second. Okay. My phone has gone flat, and unfortunately, if I take that out of it, we're going to lose the buzzing. So, we have to think about this. Yeah, you can't see my project anymore. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can open up. There's always, there's a way, there's a will, there's a way. And I'm going to see if we can. Where is... I'm not using my regular phone to video this. So what I'm going to do... Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just remove that one. Now I do have to find an earpiece to put into this, otherwise you're going to have earpiecing buzzing happening. So give me 1 second. Good thing you guys couldn't see that. My phone just went flying. A little bit of surgery happening here. Let's see how we're going to go. Okay, let's mute that one. How's that? Back on. I have an old phone which I've been using for my filming, but I forgot to charge him up. So I'm terribly sorry for that. So please, can you let me know you can now see everything and you can hear me? Okay. Yes, I'm back, Linda. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not quite sure where we got up to. Yeah, I'm glad to be back on. Okay then, so we've adhered with a couple of glue dots, that onto there. We're going to adhere this over the top, also with some glue dots on the back. It's one thing about going live. If anything's going to happen, it's definitely going to happen for me. And are we going to use that little bee? I'm going to tie a bow because I think everyone, what I was asking was who likes to see a bow. So we've got Linda says a bow, Glenda says a bow. And we were talking about the doilies. Okay, so I'm not quite sure whether you saw, but the doilies are actually part of that bundle, that suite. And that suite's from Heart and Home. And you've got different colours. You've got your Misty Moonlight, your Cinnamon Cider, and your Basic Grey. And what I was saying when my phone rudely decided to stop working, that you can actually colour the white side of your doily to whatever colour you want. So that's with, I just have a blending brush here I was using yesterday. I haven't washed yet. And that's using the Pacific Point. But you can see there that a bit of colour on that. So they're your doilies. So probably worthwhile to get a pack of those and just have them in your stash because you can colour the white side or even just use a plain white. Excuse me. So, yeah. Okay, so I've got my bow maker here. And I'm just going to make a smallish bow. So to use my bow maker, if you haven't seen it before, it's this part here that we use to make our bow. And I'm going to take my ribbon over the top, wrap it around underneath, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take that down through that hole there that's between the ribbon and the butterfly wing, through there, bring it up through the middle there, and then tie it off in a knot. Now you can get one of these bow makers from me if you purchase $50 or more on my online store, and I will send out one of these to you. So that's our little bow there. So I'm just going to cut those tails off. I'm not going to worry too much yet about where I'm going to trim them back to, so I'm just cutting them off roughly. And I'm going to pop a little bit of a glue dot behind that bow. I love this ribbon. This is the Crinkle Ribbon. And it is just so beautiful to work with. It's so soft. And I'm going to pop that right there on top of that. And I'll trim those in a minute. So what I want to do now is let me just move some of this away that we don't need, just so then we can see clearly what we're doing. I'm going to adhere this onto my card front. So again, I'm just going to use my multi-purpose glue. You could add dimensionals onto the back of this if you wanted to, but I think I've already got a lot of dimension. Just be very careful. I have taken my glue there a little bit too close to that edge, so I'm just going to wipe that away a bit. That's why you wear black pants, just so you can wipe all that stuff onto your pants. No, it's probably not a good idea. And then maneuver this into place. Just like that. I'm just going to open this up, lay this down very carefully, just give it that a little bit of a press on the back. Going to get some mini dimensionals, and I'm going to stick these on the back of my sentiment. So probably wanting around about 3 on the back. So Linda, do you live right in Mount Eliza or out on a property? I went to Mount Isa many years back with a church group. We were doing a tour of Central Australia. And I think we had flooding there in around Broken Hill or something, so we had to come back up through into Queensland and down through Mount Isa and stayed in Mount Isa overnight. It was very interesting. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm just going to adhere that across there like that. So now I can trim back my ribbon. I'm just cutting that off at an angle at the length that I want it. I want them about the same sort of length and the same sort of angle. Now the only other thing I haven't decided, and I think I will put my little bee, and I'm going to pop him up on a dimensional as well, because I do want him to have a little bit of height. So I've just popped one mini dimensional on the back of him. And it's, where is he going to go? He can go maybe just on that edge of the doily. Very cute. Okay, now we need to bring in these pieces for inside our card. In town. Yeah, I quite liked Mount Isa when I visited there years back. But I didn't see a huge amount, because I think we arrived there late afternoon. But I'm sort of going back, a long time ago. Now I'm going to pop this piece in the centre of my purple posy strip. So I've got a little bit of a border on either side. And I'm just going to trim this down on one end. And then that is going to go now. I've had to flip this piece over because there was a little mark. But what I am going to do, if I can find my bone folder, here's one, because I've got a little bit of a lip on this. When I cut it, I'm just going to rub that all the way around that edge, and that just takes away that little bit of a lip that happens when you cut with your paper trimmer. So now we're just going to pop a bit more glue on the back of this, And I've just seen a little bit that just want to trim that just a little bit on the side there as well. And we're going to pop this on the inside of our card. Nothing much would have changed. Okay. Yeah, well, I was going back a long time. I was still at school when I went there, and it's been a long time since I finished school. Okay, so there's our card. The only other thing we could do is add a little bit of bling with these. So if we wanted to add a few of these on, let me open these up. Where have I got the opening? There we go. Or the other thing we could do is colour by taking the darker, not the Highland Heather, the darker in the Purple Posy. We could colour a few of these in. So let's colour in. And if you use your darker one, it'll actually show up. If you use your lighter one, you may not get as much depth of colour. So I'm just going to colour a few of these. Come back and just do them a couple of times. They don't take long to dry because it is an alcohol ink. Just give that a little bit of a shake. And let's just add a couple of these on. So I'm going to add one there. Another little one just there. Whoops. A little bit of this colour is still coming off. So I just want to very carefully add that. Just push that down a little bit just to make sure that's staying. Doesn't want to pick up. Now you always add these in odd numbers. So I'm going to add one there. So that's 3, but I'm going to add another 2. Don't really want to grab, unless I've left the glue dot. No, the glue dot should be on there still. That's better. Pop that one there. Actually, I might move that one. I'm going to pop him up here too, but I'm going to pop the other little one, just that little one, back where he was. Just about there. Okay, so that is my card for today. I'm sorry we lost contact before, but got it all back up and running again. So I hope you like that card, and I hope it inspires you to have a go at making one of these yourself. Now I'm just going to flip my camera or go back to me. So as I said, I hope you've enjoyed that that card and how I've made that card, and I hope it's inspired you to make one yourself or something similar. And just to let you know very quickly a couple of things that are going on, I'm just going to grab a card from behind me, if I can find it. I made this card yesterday. Let me get it in camera. And this card is going to be part of a bundle. I'm part of a design called Creativity Abounds. And we decided the other day we were going to put together a bundle tutorial to raise funds for what's happening over in Ukraine. The money is going to be given to the Red Cross for them to use to help the people of the Ukraine to get resettled, I suppose, or however best it can be used to help them. Now, our bundles here in Australia are $22. You can go onto my Facebook page and you'll see the links there onto my blog where you can purchase it from. It's $22 here Australian. So, and that money will all be sent to the Red Cross, International Red Cross, to be used. Yeah, just if you feel that you can and you want to help out, that's great. Don't feel that you have to. If you know of anyone else who might be interested. Now, there's 13 of us in the group. We're all doing a card each using the blue and yellow. So there will be 13 tutorials in that bundle. We're still putting our bundle together. So even if you purchase that bundle today, it may be until around about the 21st, I think we're hoping to be able to send that card bundle out to people. So if you feel that you want to donate to something like that, you can. I would greatly appreciate it. So as I said before, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've liked the card we've made. And remember, you've got 20% off at the moment with the mini cut and emboss machine and a few of the bundles that can go along with that as well. So really worthwhile if you don't have one to look at doing that. I will place this tutorial or this video up on, well, it's already up on YouTube, but I will add my everything onto my blog over the weekend with all the links and everything. So please join me next Friday at 1 o'clock and we'll make another card. So have a lovely day. Thanks, Glenda. Thanks, Linda, for joining us, and Anita as well. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll catch up with you all later. Take care, be safe, and stay dry. See ya. Bye for now.